Convo. Welcome back to Candid Conversations with Carmen. I'm your host, Carmen, and this is my side host,
Ashley.
And our wonderful producer,
T-nugget.
And I am so excited for today's guest. Oh my gosh. I mean, you know how, what's that show on Netflix? My Next Guest Needs No Introduction is the show. But I'm so honored to have her. She is just, when I say a beautiful person, like when you think about somebody who just has a degree of grace when they're interacting with others, when you just see them around, you're like, that's a good person. Like, that's her. Mm-hmm. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce to you Lisa Steele.
Hi, everyone.
Yes.
So first off, thank y'all, because we've been working on this for a while.
Uh-huh.
So trying to get here, and again, I feel honored just to be on this platform with y'all because, like I told you before, it's an amazing thing that you're doing. You have so many different people that come and speak their truth, and good vibes. So
yes.
I'm thankful to be here.
Like I said, I'm just so thankful. So today, obviously it's Candid Conversations, so it has that degree of little hop around chaos we give. But there were definitely some things that when I asked Lisa on, I did kind of let her know that I really wanted to just have, open conversation about her life as a woman, as a mother, as a wife, and then, obviously God is first and foremost in our life, but how does everything roll up underneath that? And so I was just like, come tell us, girl, tell us all the things. So, we briefly discussed before the podcast, and I'll jump into that and we can go from there.
Yeah.
But like, how do you maintain your identity or even discover your identity when you have all these other titles that have weight outside of just yourself?
Maintaining my identity. So, like you said, first and foremost, God.
Yeah.
If he was not here, child, I would be a mess. I'm pretty sure we all know that. Yeah. But it's a process. It's going from being at home with your parents to transitioning to being married, and you are two individual people who have your own personal identities, and now you have to come together, and then as a wife you have to submit to your husband, and as a single person there's no one that's telling you what to do, or someone that you have to answer to. So it's rough. For me, it was a rough transition because I was the go-to person. I was someone who everyone looked up to in my family, and now I got to look up to my husband. I'm like, okay, Lord, ooh, I don't know. Like, ooh, okay, I said that I'm gonna be a wife. I'm gonna submit. I'm gonna follow. Lord, show me how to follow.
Yes.
It's hard. It's hard when you're a leader, and you have to take that. You have to lead from not being in the front. It's very, very hard. And so I saw this post yesterday. A lady posted that for her and her husband, they are together. They are combined. They're not in competition with each other. They complement each other.
Yeah.
And so there are certain areas in marriage where your husband has to turn up the flame to lead the family in whichever direction it is.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to turn up your flame just a little bit to lead not necessarily lead, but to steer in a certain direction, because in that season your family needs you to be there.
Yes.
In certain seasons you don't need to be there. You need to sit back and stay still and follow and listen. And y'all, it's an ongoing thing. Like, pray for me. It's something that you have to change every day. Having a title as a wife, now bringing kids into it, being a mom. That's a whole nother pool. That's a whole. There are two humans, my little Brian and Kristen, that are looking to me every single day, and I'm like, okay, God, how can I show them that I'm following my husband, so they know that he's the head of the household? How do I continue to uplift him and support him and showing him, yes, you're the head of our house. Yes, we respect you. We honor you. We know that you're being led by God. And so that's really the gist to all of it. I, as a Christian, is saying, okay, Lord, I trust you. If I trust you, I know that you're leading my husband to lead us in the right direction.
Yes.
And that's, y'all, that's some radical faith. Let me tell you, because some stuff I'm like, Lord, did you oh Lord, you told him to do that? Lord, so okay, it's okay, God, you got me. You said you never leave or forsake us. You got us. You know what we need in the season that we're in. You know. So I gotta stand on that. I can't say that I believe him and I can't stand on and have that faith.
And I think when you were saying that you have to have faith that your husband is hearing from God, because like that, like I can't think of being in a relationship with somebody who is not hearing from God, and they're moving and they're doing different things. And how did you come to the realization that his walk with God was legit? Because people be saying I'm spiritual, I'm living, but what made you be like, okay, God, like the Holy Spirit is speaking to me, but I know that he's speaking to you as well.
That. So Brian and I met, we literally had a friendship. Like we were able to talk to each other about just anything in life. Like it wasn't any type of relationship further than being friends, and getting to know him and seeing how his walk matched his talk.
Yes.
That was the biggest part. Like, cause like you said, everybody can talk. I'm this, I'm that. But to see how he actually aligned with what he was saying and it was consistent, and to see how he would submit to God in areas and to be vulnerable in moments where most people are not vulnerable. They want you to, like, they put on a facade. They want you to see I'm the best always, all the time. But to see those vulnerable moments, to see, man, I messed up. Okay, Lord, show me how to change that. That was so one, that's attractive, first off. Two, it's like, wow, someone that believes like I believe is actually doing this. And so as we started forming our friendship and getting to know each other more, it just became real. And I'm like, okay, Lord. And I told God this. I was like, look, Lord, I have this desire to be married. I don't want no junk. Like, I do not want any heartache, heartbreak, whatever you call it. Lord, if this is for me, Lord, okay, I'm letting you have it. I'm just following the path that you have in line. If it's not, please remove it out of my space.
You were like, I'm not Olivia Pope in it. I don't want to be hurt. I don't want to be in pain. I don't want to be on nothing.
I don't want to be crying sad tears and listening to R&B. Unless I choose to do it, not because, because of a relationship that went south. So God aligned it. And it was scary, y'all. It was so scary because I'm like, okay, Lord, if it's meant to be, let it happen. And things just started. It just worked. And I'm like, ooh, I got chills thinking about it. Like, it worked. And then we took another step and it aligned. Everything just started falling in place. And I remember, I don't know if y'all remember this, but I think it was the top of 2016. We used to do like, what's it called at fellowship?
The young adult speaking thing.
And so Pastor Darryl asked me to speak, and I was like, "Oh, Pastor Darryl, I don't know about that." But it was time for me because God was positioning me to walk into my next, which was to be married. Because I spent time. I said, God, I just want it to be me and you. I want it to be me and you. I don't want anything else. I don't want any distractions. I used to sit in my car after work. I'll pull in the driveway at the house, sit in my car and be like, okay, Lord, what are we talking about tonight? And what's going on today? Like, that's how I grew my relationship with God. And that allowed me to walk into where I'm at now, to be able to have a spouse that's very strong, very grounded in the Lord, and to compliment him. So he showed it, and he continues to show it. He continues to lead by trusting the Lord and letting the Lord lead us in the direction. And I just continue to follow. And then sometimes I'm like, okay, sir, you this is what so I'm like, the Lord is showing me not to just be so and be like, husband, okay. So I say, look, honey, if this is where the Lord is leading you, then I trust that you're gonna make the best decision for our family. And that took a lot to get to that moment.
So my paper,
it took a lot to get to that moment because it's scary, y'all. It's like you being led without being with a blindfold on,
and it's another person as well. Because like you're like, me and God are good.
Me and God, we got this because I know He got this. But a human being that's flawed and can make mistakes.
But
He got this.
But I think what you were saying, like, because I remember you talking in 2016 and you're doing your thing, and you were like, I'm ready to be married. Like, I have my stipulations, and these are the things that I want for myself in a husband. And it was like the very next year, I think, in July. What is it for July?
It's like, but November.
Yes. November. I was like, what? I was like, I know it's somebody.
It was the next year.
It was the next year. November, she was getting married. She was walking down the aisle. It was like, and then it was like, wow, this is crazy. She said it. It happened. And she's meeting him. She's walking it out. She's engaged. She's married. Now you're falling in, talking about something. You have to follow this man, and he's talking about you doing these things. You told God did it, but then at the same time, if you are believing that what you asked of God, He has given you in the person that He has allowed you to marry, then you have to trust that then the decisions that He's making align with God, because I asked you for him.
Exactly. I literally asked it. And to like I wrote down detailed, like, okay, Lord, my husband, follower of Christ, and not just follower, but believer. Like, actually got a real extra relationship with him, not perpetrating. This, and I'm like, wow, this is the guy. And I said, God, and like, write the vision, make it plain. Like, the vision was plain, and I was like, that's scary. It made me. It just allowed my relationship to God to grow even more, because I'm like, Lord, you never failed. Even in those moments of doubt and moments that are scary, when you're like, fear creeps in and it's tearing you apart, because although it can look like everything's going perfect, no, I'm still a human being. I have flaws. I make mistakes. So the Lord loves me in all of that. The Lord is in my husband, and He's learning how to love me through all of that. And that's the part that shakes up a lot of people, because you have this idea of what you want, this idea of who you desire, and sometimes they flawed in areas, and you're like, wait a minute now.
I signed up for perfection.
Yes, exactly. But we're not perfect.
But you're not perfect going into it.
We're not perfect. So how do I love in my flaws? How am I loved in my flaws? You know? So.
And so then when you go into that, so we're in keeping with identity. So you've talked about having the identity of being the wife and the mother, but then you're also a working woman. Like, you have a profession, and you're doing that. So how do you go outside of your house and then take on that boss woman, mentality, and then to go out and be that, but still, like, because at home you're this one thing and you do things in this way, but then now you're out in the world and people see you in a different light.
So self-love is self-care, self-love has been like pushed heavily ever since the pandemic happened, right? And as a woman, then a wife, then a mother, you get lost in all of that, because there's so many pools at you. And as a woman, single woman, you got one pool. You got your job, and you don't have to answer nobody else unless you choose to. Then you add all these other layers, and it's like, who am I again? How do I find out what I like now versus when I didn't have all this, everything else that I'm taking on. So separating all three of those areas out. My home is the place where I can come, where nobody else can tell me what to do, because it's my space. It's my sanctuary. You know, my family, my husband, my kids. So I'm super comfortable in that space. That's where I submit to my husband.
Yes.
When I step outside, Lisa, the working Lisa, now this is a whole nother identity. Technically, I would say, where the only person I answer to is my boss. But the type of boss I have, he gives me opportunity to think and grow and be.
Yes.
And that's why I learned how to take those moments where I have to submit to my husband, that those leadership qualities that I can't necessarily have at home. I push them into work. No, that sounds so bad. I push that into work.
Yes.
I'm able to lead in the ways that I need to lead.
Yes.
And if I have a team that's over me, I'm able to make sure that they're doing what they need to do, X, Y, and Z. But then I can take that off when I come home.
Yeah.
I don't have to hold on to that anymore. It's a balance, y'all. It's a constant rotation. Being a mom, now you got to lead two little bitty people who don't know what's going on in the world, but they trusting you with their life.
Yeah.
and to say that your child is still alive every year, that's a great thing. You're doing a great job as a parent.
Yeah.
But it's so many demands and stipulations that the world puts on us.
Yeah.
And it's a constant, okay, Lord, good morning, Holy Spirit. How do you want to lead me today?
Yeah.
I'm going off to work. This is Lisa in the job. How do I lead in the job? Okay, I'm at home. My husband's here. What do I need to do to maintain all of this? How do I lead here? It's really that trust that you have with the Lord. I can't even put on a piece of paper okay, y'all, this day I did X, Y, and Z. That's how I was able to lead at work.
Yeah.
This day I did this. That's what I did at home. I can't even write it down and tell you that. It's literally me having those intimate moments with God and saying, okay, Lord, you got to show me how to position myself when I'm in this place.
Yes.
Position myself when I'm in that place. My dad says, you need to get another pillow. And I'm like, we got enough pillows on the bed. What you talking about? He was like, no, a prayer pillow. Get in your prayer closet. And they told us that growing up. And it's like, okay, yeah, we can be in our prayer closet. But that really changes the dynamic of how your day functions.
Yeah.
Especially if you have that rooted relationship with the Lord.
Yeah.
And that's how I'm able to do it. That's the only way. Because other than that, I'm going crazy. Because I'm like, what am I supposed to do at home? I want stuff to be like this at home.
Yeah.
Why can't it be this way?
Yeah.
I want stuff to be like this at work. Why can't it be that way? So I hope I answered that question.
No, you did. No. How do you carve out the time?
Yeah, that was what my question was. Where does the time?
Where does the time come? I'm like, it's 24 hours in a day, and you're bossy.
Where's
your mom,
your
your wife, and you're all things.
When is prayer pillow time?
Yeah. When do I pull it out?
Ooh, prayer pillow time. So early in the morning, and I am not a morning person at all. I had to intentionally say, Lord, I'm going to give you this time. Because you told me if I seek your face, you will make everything happen.
Yeah.
You will change everything. All my heart's desires, you will bring to life. So I had to be intentional. I had to set an alarm. I had to set a couple alarms.
Yeah.
So I can wake up before all the madness starts.
Yeah.
And not waking up and going into my phone. Waking up and saying, good morning, Holy Spirit. How would you lead me today?
Yeah.
And then taking that time and going into my prayer closet and saying, okay, God, let's do, even if sometimes I fell asleep, God working with me, because it's a trained habit that you have to continue to do in order to build stamina to have that time in that prayer closet, because that closet is nice and comfy, it's warm, it's dark. So, depending on how you set it up, but that starts the day. And that's at 5 a.m, and I would rather be sleeping, y'all.
Yeah.
But the way I feel when I take that intentional time to spend with the Lord changes the way the whole day turns out. So starting with that, once the kids wake up, it's over. It's no more Lisa, you in your little space. It's go, 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 go.
Yeah.
So work already carves out time, 8-hour day.
Right.
So that's automatically 8 hours. You down already.
Yeah.
Once I leave work, the drive from work to home is literally my, okay, Lord, this is how I feel today. Time.
Yes.
And it's about like a 45-minute drive from work to home. Once I get home, kids. That's it. What do you need, Kristen? What do you need, Brian Jr.? Let's go. If Brian is in ministry, so he sings. He's at worship leader at different churches. So sometimes he's leading worship. He's not always home. Sometimes.
Yes.
Sometimes he is. So that gives me a chance to like figure out how the dynamic goes.
Yes.
This is we got bedtime at 8:00.
Yeah.
7:30, we need to start winding down. Go run the bath water.
Yes.
Kids in the bed by 8. After that, I got a little breather.
Yeah.
Just a little.
Yeah.
If Brian's not home, I got a little breather. If Brian's home, then that's time for him and I to have our moment.
Yeah.
Like just talking about our day, binge watching Netflix,
Yes.
whatever we choose. And then sometimes the Lord will just wake me up in the middle of the night, and that'll be my intentional time with him.
Yeah.
So that means I don't have to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I get to sleep a little bit longer, but it just depends. So routine, just like we create a schedule for ourselves and we follow it.
Yeah.
That's how that time is carved out. And then there are times, y'all, when I say, Brian, I need some Lisa time.
Yes.
I want to go, and Lanessa and I are going to have a sister date.
Yeah.
So the kids, my mom's watching the kids from this time to this time. Or are you available to watch the kids? And he's like, yeah, I got it. Go ahead. Great. Bye, babies. Love y'all. Mommy's going to have Lisa time.
Yeah.
And it's an intentionality thing. You don't have to be a wife and a mom and get stuck in that cycle. You can take time for yourself. You just have to speak about it.
Yeah.
You have to be vocal, not overpowering, but vocal and say, okay, I realize, like I said earlier, capacity.
Yeah.
I realize that I'm getting overwhelmed going through this cycle of being a wife, being a mom, going through this. I need a day to unplug.
Yes.
And pull away from that and just say, and that's how you rebuild your identity.
Yeah.
That's how you realize, oh, this is what I like.
Yeah.
It's not about wiping little diapers. You know, people do these every day and changing diapers.
Yeah.
You know, it's about what Lisa likes in this moment. And it doesn't last forever.
Yeah.
Although you wish it does. It should. But it's intentionality.
Yeah.
That word has been like, ooh.
Yes.
That's a big word.
Yeah.
And it takes discipline to be intentional.
Oh my gosh, you speaking to the choir. Because that literally has been, like, we have a book club, and that has been, like, consistently, like, at the end of it every week, we're like, Lord, help us to have that discipline. Like, help us to be intentional. Because it's true.
Yeah.
Like, and even in, I mean, for what you're saying, I'm like, 1,000%. Like, if you don't have that time that you're taking with the Lord, prioritizing Him, you forget.
Yeah.
You be like,
you
oh,
do.
I'm getting into bed. Like, Lord, I didn't even do my prayer.
Yeah.
Like, oh, sorry. But I had time for everything else.
Exactly.
And it's like He will rebuild you up. And then also having that conversation, I think, like you said, actually saying, wait a minute, I feel myself being depleted.
Yes.
I feel my resources kind of dwindling. I need a minute. I need a day. And then having a support system that is able to jump in and say, take your day.
Yes.
Take your time. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
That was one of the things we were talking about with Lanessa, though, was the community aspect
Yes.
of how do you have community, like once you get married and you're like, how's your friendships, how have they changed or stayed the same or shifted in this time period, and how have you built up your community to be able to support you?
So I don't have like a huge friendship circle. I'm a very like close knit to myself person.
Yes.
Like I don't let everybody in. And I can't even tell you where it stemmed from, but Mary and Brian help open that door a lot because he has a lot of friends. He has a huge community.
Yeah.
And so slowly spending time with them, slowly getting to know who they are has expanded my friendship circles, I would say. From there, community, his family is amazing. Like, that's prayer list. Make sure you put on there your in-laws and the family, because for them to trust me with for his parents to trust me with their son's heart, and for them to bring me in as I'm a daughter to them, and want to be a part of our family and life. It's beautiful because it does not always happen. And I can't even speak on someone who does not have that, but for having that, I am grateful. I'm grateful for my parents for being there and wanting to watch their grandkids when Brian and I need a day to ourselves. We need our time. Trusting. So before I bring kids in, the community that we gained when we got married, it's different because a lot of people view marriage, they're like, oh, they need their time. We don't want to bother them. No, we need y'all to talk to us. We need to learn how to be married. It's not something you just walk into and it's like, oh, you're married. You know how to do it. You constantly grow because you two individual people coming together and trying to figure out what y'all together looks like. And then you two individually are constantly changing. You're not the same. I'm not the same as I was 7 years ago. Y'all not. Brian's not. So how do we trust the community that we have to actually pour into us in the positive ways, actually give us biblical advice, not just advice out the side of their neck. Right. And it takes time because some friends that we had initially, we don't have them anymore as friends. And it was a sad thing to disconnect from them because we built that relationship, And now we surround ourselves with more of our married friends. Because most of them are tenured married friends. So they can actually say, oh, we've been there before. We know y'all probably going through this. Don't despise counseling. Therapy, that is necessary because you're constantly changing people. How do you continue to evolve in a world that's constantly changing and things are going up and going down every day? So stay in counseling. The community, pray together, ask the Lord, okay, should we be in this relationship with these people? Should we? And when I say relationship,
I know what you mean.
I know what you mean. Let me clear it up.
I know what you mean. Friendship.
Yes. Thank you. Yes. Clear it up. Should we be in this friendship with these particular people, or not even should we? Lord, bring the people that need to be in our circle in this season. Put those people in our space that we need, because a lot of times people who are in your space, they are not for you in good reasons. They're not there for you in good reasons. So community, we have two families that love us enough to want to continue to help us out when we need it. We have friendships that have dwindled and friendships that have increased. Some that we haven't spoken to in years, but then when we get together, it's like we best friends, again. So it's an ongoing challenge. But I always bring it back to, okay, Lord, who needs to be in our space in this season? Because we're growing in this direction. Put us in a place where, surround us with people who are going to help elevate us and not keep us at the same level.
Iron sharpening iron.
Iron sharpening iron. That's good.
Thank you. Yes. But, and I know because I think we were talking to Lanessa too. So I was like, how do you keep, if you had single friends, how do you keep those relationships, or do you let them fall away? And her response, you have to watch it and see. But for you and where you are, do you have friends that are single that you hang out with?
Do I have single friends? So not necessarily, and only because the friends that I had that were single, they're married now. So that's why. Not because I don't want any single friends. But I really think it depends on the heart of those people. Knowing, although people say, oh, you're married, you need to hang around married people, there are still some single friends that you can have a relationship with because they desire where you're going, where you want to be. Their intention is not to pick apart what you're going through in your marriage. Their intention is to, okay, how do I grow and learn from Lisa being married and her family, because one day I want to achieve that.
Yeah.
How do I grow as a woman? Not just because she's married and has a family, but she's still a woman.
Yes.
She's still an individual. How do I learn from her and grow? How does she learn from me? Lanessa was probably like my best single friend that I ever had.
Yeah.
So not just because she's my sister, but she would literally give me advice as a married woman. And because she wasn't biased to, oh, you're my sister, so you're always like, she was like, no, Lisa, you're wrong.
Yeah.
You need to go back and apologize to your husband and tell him, forgive me because I was out of order.
Yeah.
You know, so, or she'll be like, yeah, Lisa, you might need to revisit that. Like, she would give me honest advice as a single woman. And there are friends that you can have, even married, that are single, that can do that for you.
Yeah.
Discernment is the biggest key to knowing, like, and saying, okay, Lord, help me determine if this individual, even though they're single, should be in my life in this season, in this moment. So I would say that at work now, I'm gaining a single friend. And just her intention, her heart is so pure, so pure. And I love it, but she genuinely wants to understand how life, like, how is it working? How do you do this? I want to do that one day, but I don't know if I'm ready. And I'm like, listen, girl, make sure you're ready. And when I say ready, I don't mean you got everything you need to be a wife.
Yes.
I mean, the Lord is saying, it's your time, baby. It's time for you to shine.
Yeah.
We gonna put you with a bow, you know, and go forth.
Yeah.
So it's discernment with that.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that because I always, my whole thing was, because I have a lot of married friends or friends that have gotten married in recent years. But I also understand the ebb and flow of relationship. And so, like, even though we are friends still, there are some times where it's that time to, like, step back. You need time with your family. You need time with your married friends. You need time. And I understand that. And one thing I always say is I never want to insert myself into your relationship at all. You can ask me certain things and I may give you advice, or we might be talking as friends, but I won't ever be telling you what to do in your marriage. You need to do what you need to do in your marriage. I don't know your husband like that, nor do I want to, and I'm not going to act like I do. And so I think that has been the thing for me in having married friends, is like I always want to keep that boundary, and I always like want to be in a place where I am not where, like, you know, the appearance of evil, people always talk about the appearance of evil. So like I'm like cool with, I think, majority of all my friends' husbands. Do I have their number in my phone? No. I don't have that boundary.
Good.
But that's it. Like if I have something, I say, oh, you can tell him.
Yeah.
If he wants to plan a surprise party for you or a surprise proposal, you know how they contact me? Social media. And I say, there's it. And then when the time comes, they message me on social media and tell me about this thing. So there is the level of transparency there. And I think that's one thing too for me, like advice, if I was giving somebody who has married friends, create that boundary. Like there is no room for anybody to think anything untoward. We don't talk. I see them and we talk in company. But there's no outside. You're not telling me about your life because I don't care. She can tell me. And if you were in a group setting, we can talk about it, and then we'll take it from there. And I'll ask the Lord for discernment to say whatever it needs to be said. But I'm not in your relationship. And that's where I think as a single person with married friends, that's a boundary that I try to keep in those.
Really good.
A
lot of people don't have boundaries. They don't. And for you to intentionally create that, that literally shows your heart around who your friend is. Because you respect what they have going on. Because it's hard. It's like, you're my friend. Like, when I need you, I need you. Like, but that's a lot for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah, but I think it's being, like you said, intentional, like thinking about, because I always think, well, I think that's also something that God has been showing me too, that is I always am thinking about how other people will feel.
Yeah.
And sometimes you need to think about how you're feeling in those moments too.
Yeah.
And I think that is where it comes with praying about, God, bring me the people that need to be in my life for this season. And that has been one of my prayers, and God has been creating a circle for me in this season.
That's good.
But the intentionality, like for married, just people in relationships, I have never wanted to be, I don't want to be the people that's drama. Like, you've seen those people where my girlfriend, she was talking to him and he was talking to him about, no, I do not want to be that person. Like, do not have my name in.
I don't have his number. I don't know. That wasn't me.
That wasn't me. That wasn't me. I don't know.
Yeah.
But Carmen, do you have like?
Yeah. So my friend groups are similar to how you said, like when you're in your single season, as I am.
Yes.
My friend group is a small circle.
Yes.
So I've never been the 20,000 friends, and it's like you maybe can have an intimate dinner for your birthday, but don't rent out a venue because you'll be shamed. So that is me. So my friend group has changed. You know, like they're in that season of their life where they're getting married and they're, you know, and there have been friends that I've, you know, transitioned.
Yeah.
They have transitioned out of my life, and I'm like, wow, you know, it's a sad thing to see you go.
Yes.
But we aren't serving each other in a way that is beneficial. So it doesn't need to be holding on to something that needs to be released. So I think definitely seeing the transition in the lives of my friends, like, okay, so now you're married, so we can't go to punts randomly.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Were you ever?
We got to schedule it.
Yes, right. We got to schedule it for real, schedule it. Make sure your husband can watch the kids, like all the things. And I'm like, okay. So I think that is just, it's not really that hard for me because I feel like I have always been like, you can't make it.
How is it? How does it feel?
Yeah. To have somebody like say, okay, I can't make it to this time.
Well, not necessarily you can't make it, but the transition from always being able to go and do freely. And then now it's kind of like, you gotta, let me pencil you in. Like,
yeah.
How do you feel?
It's not that hard of a transition for me because I have always been a pencil me in kind of person.
Okay.
Like it was obviously it could be more of a whim. Like tomorrow we can do it if my calendar works, or 2 days from now or whatever. But now it's like no, we are like a month out. Like you gotta, honey, I'm on the books. Like so I think it's more so, but I think it's also keeping in mind that your priorities have shifted and it's appropriate. It's not like I shouldn't be the primary focus of your life. If I am, that's a bigger problem. You have a family. Like that's two different things we're talking about. So it's not, it isn't really a hard thing. I think it's just a matter of being cognizant of that. And then also I think a lot of times friends that are married and have children, they sometimes feel bad. Like, oh man, I couldn't do it. I don't want to let you down. And it's like that reassurance. Like, no, you're okay. Like, I'm not upset with you. It's no thing. And just making sure that they're also not feeling guilty for putting the appropriate weight on the relationships that are in their life. Yeah. So I don't think it's been hard for me. Like I said, I've been a schedule me, but not.
And I'm always busy, so it's usually the other way around. They trying to book me
to be you down booking me.
No, really, it is because I was just talking to my friends yesterday, and we were like, "When do you want to go to lunch?" We have, and so we planned for, I think, the first week of November. Yeah, because that was the time frame that for everybody. Yeah. I mean, that's what 3 months out, 4 months out. It's like, wow, but we had to sit down and be really like, where are we? What do we have planned? What do we have coming up? And you have to be honest and be like, you know, I want to still foster this relationship and I still want to be a part of your life. We can still talk on the phone and text, but to actually have time to be face to face, that's not going to be until.
And sometimes it may be like, look, you maybe were used to those quicker responses. Don't get in your feelings when it's like, I haven't received a response. It's 2 days later. And it's like,
you have to understand.
Exactly. Yeah. There's a lot. I mean, and when you think about how much responsibility goes on, and then obviously, like, I just don't have like male friends like that. it's going to be
Yeah.
women anyway. So the weight that a woman has on her for all the things that she has in her life, and then just to get, sometimes just to get your mind wrapped around. I thought about responding to the text, but the energy it was going to take, I just couldn't do it. And so I think keeping that in the back of my mind as well is like, it's not personal. I think a lot of times you could get offended if you took it like they're ignoring me, and it's like, it's not about you. Like when you stop making things about you, it's a whole lot easier to process someone's behavior.
It's a learned thing too.
Yeah.
Like, especially when you had that relationship for so long, and then you have to realize, okay, or let me say this: if you do feel a way, communicate it.
Yes,
because so many things that we try to, we're like, oh no, I'm not gonna say that, I'm not gonna say that. No, say it in the right space, okay, of course. But if you did feel a way, speak that, because the other person probably feeling the same way you feel. Y'all just haven't said anything about it.
Exactly.
So now, for example, like Lenessa and I have been trying to plan this sister date that we went on yesterday forever. I mean, since like January, and it's July. So, but she was like, "No, I know you're busy. You're mom," and I'm like, "Girl, Sundays. If you can get me on a Sunday, great. If you find a day and you say, hey, I want to do this, let me see what I can do with the kids. Let me see if Brian's available to watch the kids.
Yes.
Because I want to intentionally make time.
Yes.
And it's about both of y'all saying, okay, let's intentionally make this time.
Yeah.
And figure out whether it's 3 months out or not. You're sitting because you still want to work on that relationship.
Yes.
But if you feel a way, say it. Okay, I didn't like how you said X, Y, and Z.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't mean it that way. I was feeling the way because I'm going through this personally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we don't ever communicate.
How do you work yourself up? Because I know I'm working through it. I tend to be confrontation averse, and I'm not necessarily as communicative as I could be. I'll just be like, you know what? It's fine. Whatever. How do you work yourself up to have those tough conversations?
Trust in the person that you're in that relationship with. I would say it's the first thing. We think we know how to communicate. Oh my God, it's so much deeper than what it is. Like, you really have to be vulnerable when you communicate.
Yeah.
And that's something that we as people don't like to do. We don't like to be vulnerable. Like, and trusting that whoever you're telling how you feel to is gonna give you constructive criticism back.
Yes.
Even if they do hurt that feeling.
Yeah.
Who are they to you? What place are they coming from? Do you know this person enough to say, man, they did give me some feedback that I'm just like, about.
Yeah.
But okay, I can see it because I know who that person is. I know who Carmen is. Even though Carmen said, ooh, girl, I don't like your top.
Yeah.
I'm like, ooh, I really like your top. It's not because she just don't like me as a person. It's because that's just something she doesn't favor.
Yes.
That doesn't mean it can't be something that is okay for me.
Yeah.
And the communication piece it's an ongoing thing. I think when we learn how to not take how other people's opinions about us affect us, I think that's when we can grow our communication more. And just like the example I gave, that's your opinion.
Right.
Why did it hurt me so bad? Because I love you, girl.
Right. I get it.
But at the same time, that's still your opinion.
Yeah.
I should not have to feel so hurt about it. It is.
And
I don't have words.
I wonder if, but no, speaking
But that
of
was good though. That makes sense.
It does, but I wonder if it's tied into like wanting to be a people pleaser or to not have rejection.
Yeah.
Because if
that's a good word. Rejection.
Because if you don't like my top, then just on the small level of you don't like my top, it's been a learned condition when somebody doesn't like a piece of what I have or what I enjoy, then more than likely at some point they're no longer going to like me.
Yeah.
And so because of that, now I'm hurt because now it's like, oh, you're saying something about my choices and what I like, and you're saying you don't, and so you attribute it as that childhood. You don't like my shirt, so you don't like me. But that's not what they're saying. They're just like, girl, that shirt does not look good on you. But that's what you think. I thought I looked cute before you said it. So what does it matter? But because I value you as a voice in my life, you saying that I've taken your dislike of my shirt to be a dislike of me at a root level. You're not going to say that because it's still, I just can't believe she didn't like my shirt. And then if you really, really care about that, you might think about that for 2 days. Like, she didn't like my shirt. I just don't understand it. And then it goes on and it spirals out. And then next thing you know, you're like, what shirt do you think I should wear for this thing?
Confrontational.
And then they're like, what shirt do you think I should wear? And they're telling you, and now you can't make any decision or receive anything that they're telling you because either you want their validation in everything you do, or you can't. If they do say something to you, you can't receive it because it's just always an attack, even though it was never an attack. It was just their opinion.
It's their opinion.
Yeah,
it's hard.
Yeah, I'm like.
It takes time. I would say it's something that I'm still learning. Because the world puts a lot of pressure on you just in life in general. And so how do you not take to heart the people who love you? How do you not take to heart what the people are saying who love you? And it stems back to that like childhood hurt. Like, the childhood hurt. Like they don't like me. I want to be liked. Like how do we even get there? Like you're loved always. It's like what? Why does somebody else have to define how you feel? And so ultimately, I would say my relationship with the Lord is always it has to be at the center. It has to be, because I'm struggling with identity when it's not. I'm struggling with fear of losing this friendship when it's not. But when it is, I know he's going to direct my path whichever way I need to go in that time, in that moment. And so it's an ongoing thing, though. It's not like I can do it for 5 months and be like, oh, I'm good for the next 3 years.
That's no problem.
It's an everyday commitment. But it's worth it. It's so worth it. Y'all.
Just communicating. And when you have to have those hard conversations, it's like checking, like, Lord, this is what you have for me, so that you can move in the peace and a surety that you're doing the right thing. So it might be tough, but it's like,
and you also know that the conversation is in the right time, because we were talking about this the other day, is that sometimes you be like, I need to have this conversation at right now. And it's like,
you're like, I'm sharing my heart with you right now. You need to listen.
You need to listen.
And the Lord is like,
available.
Right. And the Lord's like, you should have been quiet, because that was not the time.
And they weren't ready, and you weren't ready to deliver it in the way that they can receive. And so
that's hard.
Knowing
that, ooh. I've had so many conversations where I should have been quiet.
And you see the outcome, and you see the heart of your heart. You be messed up. The other person is messed up. And it's like, what in the world just happened? You know, and then in your mind, I know for me, I'm trying to be vulnerable. And you didn't even take my vulnerability and be softened by it. You just took it the wrong way. And they're like, you just came and attacked me out of nowhere, unsolicited. I was sitting right here, and then you said you wanted to have a conversation, and then all of a sudden it turned into this. And it's like, but if I prayed about it, God would have told me, not right now. In 30 minutes. Have this same conversation.
Literally that short of a time.
Same
conversation, received and delivered. Like it should be.
Nobody's
so impatient.
We be like,
nope.
I gotta get it out.
I gotta speak my truth.
And I think it's also, if you look at society now, that's what they're teaching you. Is that when you feel something, if you're feeling it, everybody should know that if you're hurt, spew it all over everybody at that moment
Yeah.
because you have to get it out so you can feel better.
Yeah.
Not how they will receive it, not how this can affect them, how this can change the trajectory of somebody's life. I have to tell my truth in this moment. And it's like sometimes you need to keep your truth to yourself till it has matured in such a way that you can then deliver it so that it's not a dagger to somebody else, just like it's a dagger to you in this moment. You've gotten past the anger, so your delivery is different. It's just like when you get mad at work. Don't send the email in the moment because you'll have all caps.
Per my last. Per my last.
Nobody knows you're a Christian because all the things are said. And last week when you made this comment,
right,
and you circle back and but then if you take that moment to sit back and get yourself together and calm down and to find the right moment. God will say, send this email or don't send this email. Because there have been times when I have thought I need to send the email. I need to tell you about yourself. And I write it up and I'm typing it. And I'm just going. And then you leave it up there and you go back and you read it and you're like, that's not it. And then you drop it down, you minimize it, and you go about doing everything else, and then you come back to it and you get ready to send it, and God is like, just delete the whole thing. You're not sending it at all. Like there's no draft or nothing. It's gone. And it's like, but God, and it's like, but no, because then you think if he's in control, then whatever he needs to happen, whether you send an email or not, is going to happen. And so I think in all of it, the conversations that you need to have and the way it needs to be said, if we're trusting in God and we're hearing his voice, really hearing his voice and not our voice turned into his voice.
Because he told me to do. I know he told me to do that.
Like get some comfort.
Tell you to do that.
Try the spirit by the spirit and like list. Like go, does his word align with what you're thinking you need to do? Because that's a check.
It is.
You go back and you're like, I know that he told me this, and then you go back, well, this is a direct contradiction of his word, so he couldn't have told you. So I think that's it, and then he'll lead you to where you need to be.
I think something you said earlier, like one of the first things you mentioned was how when your husband is leading you, and then there are in certain areas where you kind of have to steer things, like you know your place, you're co-captain. So it's like 100%. when that is your approach, I mean, I know a lot of times I've heard other married people in a church setting where it's like, not that. When it's not that. And so it's like,
because that's like,
oh, controversial. Oh my gosh. Right.
What are you doing?
Right. You're taking charge in some way. Right. Your lips were open. It's saying words. Like, so like when you have that kind of culture that you maybe came from, or those type of opinions that were really a foundation in your life, how do you, for one, break that off to kind of figure it out and navigate it for your relationship? But then also, how do you get to a place where you're comfortable to do that? Because it's like, because I know I'm at a place where I'm like, well, that's your conviction, but that's not mine. Like, how do you get there to just like, thank you for your opinions, but like, how did you get to that spot?
Man, so to go back to that statement, and I can give this example. So certain things in the marriage, like I'm good at. Certain things Brian's good at. Of course, he's the head, but when it comes to, let's just say, planning the kid's birthday party,
yes, I
have to turn up the fire on that, because Brian, he's like, here, pay somebody to do it. That's not his strong suit. But that's something that I like to do. I'm good at doing. So that's when he will take a more supporting role to me actually leading and taking that on. So that'll be an example of when I say lead. But let me make sure I have clarity on what you said. So you were asking, how do I just rephrase it, because
you want me to try? So the way we grew up in our church, and in some of the church settings, not necessarily just in our church, was that the wife submits to everything that the husband does, and that there's
the birthday party's burning down, but you just sitting there like,
I'm just sitting there like,
yes, yes, and God's got it because He's in charge, and you like the children don't have nothing to do, and they just looking at each other in a little puddle because they wanted a pool party, but it was like, don't question, just do. Like that was one of the things. But how did you, I guess, pave the pathway in your marriage for you all to be able to get to the place where He's like, okay, in those moments where I have to allow you to lead, you may be better at math, so He's like, you do the bills, but we're still, whatever it may be, but I'll take the back seat and let you lead in this area. How do you get to the place where that in your marriage that you're okay to say, like, I'm doing it right for us, not based off of what I've seen, or you being the quiet, meek, submitted wife.
Yeah. Okay, I got you now. That's good. It really takes you and your spouse to fully be aligned. And when I say aligned, I mean he knows for sure that you support him in being the head. He understands that everything that he does is not the foolproof 100% way, and he's okay with that. When he's securing himself enough to say, okay, I know my wife is good at this, I'm gonna let her go ahead and do it. It's really him as an individual, and then his relationship with the Lord. Like, okay, Lord, how do I not take the masculinity approach? Like, I'm the husband, I make the decisions. Like, how does he know he's still making the decisions without taking the forefront or the front seat? So we're still learning and growing in this, because things have changed since we got married. We got kids now, so that's a whole new story. But him and I just had to be like truly vulnerable. And they're like, oh, you're married, you're vulnerable. No, baby, that is growth and vulnerability. And I had to ask him, I'm like, if I took the head approach in this, how would that make you feel? Like, do you feel like I'm taking away what you do as a man? Do you feel like there's some marriages where the woman is the breadwinner and the man supports? How do you feel as a man? And be honest with me. Like, don't say, oh, it's okay, I want you to make all the money, I don't mind staying at home. No, be honest. That makes me feel like X, Y, and Z. Okay, so how do we approach that dynamic? What do we need to do so you don't feel like I'm making you less than what you are? And so it's a growing thing, y'all. It's an honest growing thing. It's him working on who he is as an individual and his identity with God, me working on who I am and my individual identity, us coming together and submitting under God and being like, okay, Lord, this is how we want to work this thing. As far as the community outside who looks at it as, Lisa girl, what are you doing? That's your husband. Whatever he says, you need to do. Child, things have changed tremendously. And what works for your marriage works for your marriage. Everybody does not follow that same concept. The Lord says the man is the head. The woman follows and submits. There are, how do I say this? There are certain dynamics that take place in your life where those change. There's some things that shift in your marriage where the woman might have to take a more leading approach in a certain area. Just because of what the husband is dealing with in that season. The husband, he is strong. He is the head, but the amount of support he needs to stay in that position is so tough to for him to maintain. It is extremely hard. And for him to be content with, dang, my wife got to do that. That makes me feel like X, Y, and Z. It's scary, but he's trusting that the Lord knows where y'all need to be in this time.
Yes.
He knows that although he's not in the head or the forefront, that he's still the head in the forefront of the house.
Yes.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
When things like that happen, and even if it's real minor, like just because I took the lead as a wife, that doesn't mean I'm the head of the house.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
It's just something that I'm stronger and gifted in doing.
Right.
Yes. Or in this season, I have to.
Yes.
I'm actually holding you down because you can't do it at your
Right
full
now.
capacity right now.
Okay.
Yes.
Because
But when
he
you
has to
are,
restore.
yes.
He has to
Rebuild.
He has to rebuild.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because he can only hold so much
Yes.
for so long. But that's why God gave him a helpmate.
Yes.
Because that's what I'm for.
Yes.
I'm not just there to
I love that
cook
you
all
said
the
that.
food and wash all the dishes.
Yes.
And the laundry.
I love that you said that because I don't feel like people say that.
Yeah.
Like, it's like in this season, maybe I am serving in a different capacity.
Yes.
But that is what I'm here for.
Yes.
I'm holding you down, whatever that looks like.
Yes, whatever that looks like.
Yes.
But I would say that's in those stereotypes of how things should be.
Yes.
Do what works best for you and your family.
Yes.
Do you think those type of things can put a lot of pressure in the beginning of a marriage because of the expectation, like the things that you thought marriage was and the expectations you thought marriage should do can cause issues until you figure it out, I guess.
Yes, it really can. So I grew up, my family is submit. Your husband said do this, you do it. That's it. And Brian is different. He's from up north.
Yeah.
And they are totally different than us Southern people.
Yeah.
And so my family was like, Lisa, y'all at a function, you fix your husband's plate.
Yeah.
When you do this for your husband. And Brian was like, I can fix my own plate. You don't have to do that. I was like, but no, I'm supposed to. Like, this is what I was taught. Like, kind of like on Coming to America, the first one. When the princess, she was like, whatever you like. Like, I was like, whatever you like. And he was like, no, it's okay now. Certain things. Yes, this is what I would like you to do.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I want you to maintain our home.
Yes.
You're the heart of our home. I want you to give it, life.
Right.
But no, baby, it's okay. I can make my own plate.
Yes.
I can do this myself. You don't have to do that. I know that you're going to support me in the areas that are needed.
Yeah.
You don't have to run around behind me. It's okay. You're your own person too.
Yeah.
We don't have to be stuck to the hip because we know we already joined to the heart.
Yeah.
When we got married. That's not changing. So we don't have to stay like that everywhere we go and everything we do. We're still individual people, even though we're married.
Yeah.
And when it's our time to come together, we come together.
Yes.
And then when it's our time to be in two separate places, we are, but we still know we're together. That doesn't change.
Yes.
So, that's it's a learned thing too. It's something that you constantly learn.
Yeah. So T-nugget is messaging. We're at the end of the line. So if I don't know if you wanted to end it off, but I've asked a few guests this here and there. If you were gonna just leave one thing with the audience, if it was to a single woman, if it was to a married woman, if it was to anyone generically, if it's about something that is sustaining you, if it's what is carrying you through, if it's a piece of advice that you're like, you need to know this throughout your life, what would that one thing be to just leave and kind of wrap it up with a bow?
That's loaded. Like so many thoughts are in my head.
Yeah.
Lord, what is one thing that I would leave? Because I want to leave the people with something good. I would say continue to work on you as a person. Okay. When I say that, I mean, don't neglect what you like to do.
Yeah.
Ideas that you have, what things that the Lord places on your heart to do, don't neglect that. And just specifically speaking for women, because we let a lot of things like overpower us, and we forget who we are as people. And being in a place where there's so many things that have came in my life so quickly, and I'm like, okay, Lord, yeah, I asked for it, but how do I maintain it? How do I still remember who Lisa is and still grow as a person? So to do that, your relationship with God got to be like down like full flat.
Yeah.
And when I say that, I mean start your day with him.
Yeah.
Start your day with him. Start your day with telling him how you feel. If you were sad in that moment, let him know.
Yeah.
If you are happy in that moment, let him know, because he's amazing. He will organize whatever you need in that moment, even if it's something that's bad.
Yeah.
Like quote unquote bad, and something crazy happens, somebody cut you off.
Yes.
And you like naturally upset, mad, saying stuff, probably wrong stuff. But taking that time to let him guide and lead you, it allows you to respond differently. And when you continue to build that and foster that relationship with him, he'll continue to show you how to be the woman you are. He'll continue to show you when to speak and when not to speak. He'll continue to show you, go off. This is a time to brag on yourself. Go off, because you did it and you deserve this recognition in this moment. And that's what I'm learning now. Like when I asked you a year ago to like pause on asking me to come because I was pregnant, I was trying to navigate some stuff with our son. He had open heart surgery when he was born, and that was a whole lot that was placed on us in that moment. But I'm like, both of us came together and we're like, okay, God, at the end of the day, it's your will. So I can't sit here and be like, God, is your will, but let me make sure X, Y, and Z happens. I gotta be like, God, is your will, and that's what I'm gonna believe. And it takes repetition. It takes time to get to that. And just because you got to that, there's still attacks of the enemy that's gonna come and shift that out the way, and you gotta continue to take that time and invest in the Lord. So I would say start your day with God. Whether it's men or women, start your day with God. And just be like step back outside of yourself and just watch how he manifests stuff. Because that's the crazy thing. I think we get in a like mundane like attitude where we continuously doing the same thing over and over and over and over, and then we don't ever take the time to sit back and look like, okay, God, wow, you really did something that small that changed the whole trajectory of the day. Or you caused this to happen so that I can wake up. And I can be like, okay, God, I'm doing something wrong. Like, what's going on? Because this is not your norm. And so we're rebuilding our relationship right now. Because going through the period of having kids and trying to get through the first year of Brian Jr.'s life, I lost myself for a second. I became distant with God. Because I was hurt, because of what happened to my son. And I realized, I was like, God, how did we get so far apart? Like, what changed? And it was circumstances. It literally the circumstances that happened in life that made me realize, I don't know. Do I trust you anymore? Like, can I believe who you are, who you say you are? And I just think back to all the times where I almost died in a car accident, or I didn't have enough money to go to college, and it happened. Like, someone paid for me to go to school, like that semester, like all these little things that he reminds me of, and I think back and I'm like, I can't not trust you. So start your day with him. And just watch. we move so fast in this world, and I'm gonna wrap it up. We move so fast. We don't ever pause and look.
Yes.
And see how he's doing things. And I think when we put ourselves in that type of mindset, it changes how things go. Whether it's good or bad things that happen. It's for a reason.
And I know we're supposed to wrap up.
Yeah. But that was just so good. I'm over here like
it was so much. And I have time. Okay. Because I wanted to, because when you said, God, I'm disappointed in what happened with my son.
Yeah.
That's real. Like to be able to be honest, to get to that point. Like, can you expound? Do you feel comfortable to expound on that? Yeah.
Yeah. When you say expound, you mean what happened to him literally?
Yeah. Or just like to get to the place of to be disappointed. Like, yeah.
Ooh, I really think it stemmed from just years ago when I initially said, okay, God, I want to know just me and you. I just want a relationship with me and you.
Yes.
And I was able to be open and honest. Although he ain't physically sitting there next to me, I can feel his spirit. I know when he's telling me to do X, Y. I'm hearing when he's telling me to do X, Y, and Z. So coming up, we had Kristen.
Yeah.
She fine.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't have to worry about anything. She came. Then we had Junior, and we did the anatomy scan, and they were like, it wasn't the same as what we were used to seeing.
Yeah.
And so Brian was automatically like, something's up, like, what's wrong? And I'm just like, I'm just there.
Yeah.
just there. And so they pulled us in the room, our doctor, and she was like, we have to do some extra tests. We see X, Y, and Z on the heart, in his heart. Blah, blah, blah. Well, he had an interrupted aortic arch and a hole in his heart.
Okay.
And so he had a deletion of a chromosome.
Okay.
22q deletion is a syndrome called DeGeorge. And it's random. It's like a literal random syndrome.
Yeah.
Like nothing runs in our family for the syndrome. Nothing runs in my family. Nothing runs in Brian's family. He's literally just one out of a hat that's chosen with the syndrome.
Yeah.
And so, although Brian and I came together, we were like, we believe God, we this and that. Like, as a person, individual, I'm like, but wait a minute, Lord, like, why us?
Yeah, you're right.
What was the cause of this? Did we not pray enough on this day? Did we not go to church enough?
Yes.
What caused this to happen? And I got vulnerable. Yeah. I was mentally overwhelmed with thinking, because they told us he might live, he might not live. We didn't know. But I was mentally overwhelmed, and I was like, God, I'm mad. Like, I was like, tears balling, everything. And I'm like, I'm disappointed in you. You want us to be fruitful and multiply, and you want us to do all this, and we're doing it. And what is going on?
Yeah.
And he didn't say anything. He just let me vent and be upset. But I got to that place of being so honest with how I feel because of what I established years ago with my relationship with him.
Yes.
I was comfortable enough. Like, I wasn't scared to say, God, I'm just, like, years ago, I was like, I don't know if I should tell God I'm upset. Like, he gonna strike me down or something, but it stemmed from that. And what he showed us was, at the end of the day, if y'all really trust who I am, if y'all really say y'all believe in me, you know that whatever I have for you is gonna be, and that's okay.
Yeah.
He literally laid this out before we knew that we were gonna be even alive.
Yes.
Like, he knew us before we were even in the womb. So he already knew how this was gonna play out.
Yes.
And do we trust him enough to know that he knows what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
Can we live with whatever outcome he decided for our life? And can we continue to believe that he is who he said he is? That's it. And it's like,
that's real.
Yeah.
That it's been my life.
Yes.
And from, I think I was like my early 20s when I just had that moment where I was like, God, I just want to be, it's just me and you. Me and you. me. That was it. Like anything else, and I would go on little dates here and there with guys, but I ain't looking. We just, I mean, I want the communication and blah blah blah, but I don't want any relationships right now. I just want God, and I want to understand my purpose. And I want to understand what your will is for my life, so I can walk it out every day. And of course, continue to help me, because all this stuff be throwing daggers at me left and right. So okay, come on, keep coming. I feel like I went ahead and you left me. Come on, speed up. But it really stemmed from that, knowing, starting that relationship and being vulnerable with him. But the crazy thing is, it's transitioning that to being vulnerable with people. So,
I mean, what was crazy is when you were talking about, did we pray enough? Did we do all those things? It put me in mind of in the Bible when the disciples of Jesus were walking by and they saw the guy that was blind, and they said, who sinned, the father or the mother, or was it his sin? And Jesus was like, nobody sinned. This is for the glory of God. This story is here for the glory of God. And so when you were saying this, it put me in mind of that. So whatever this was for, you like, why you didn't do anything. Brian didn't do anything. He was chosen. You said those exact words. He was chosen. He was picked for this syndrome. Why? Because it was for the testimony and the glory of God. So God can have the victory and the glory, the testimony of he's here. He had to have these different things happen. It was a struggle for us. We were scared. We were nervous, but we knew what God was going to get the glory no matter what it was. He was going to hold us up. That's a testimony.
Girl, I'm over here like in the podcast, period. Like that is, I'm like that. Look, I'm like, oh my gosh. That's and you, the first year of his life, that means he's here. He's living. He's thriving. He's here.
And every day I'm like, God, like just seeing him, because his syndrome is a delayed syndrome. So for him to be like, he's clapping his hands now, he's not supposed to be able to do that. He's standing. He's not supposed to. He's literally supposed to be like, not doing. And going through a lot of therapy, going through a lot of X, Y, and Z, and I'm like, God, I can't not say you are awesome. And not to take anything away, because he could have taken his life. He had a possibility that he would not be here at all. And how would I live with that moment? Because there are people who their children don't make it. So I don't want to, brag or anything. But that's just what God has for us. And he's showing us, daughter, son, continue to follow me. Continue to trust me. Because I got you. Even in those scary moments. I got you.
And being okay with his will.
Because
it's happening either way.
It's gonna happen regardless.
It's happening either way. But it's that, like you said, that vulnerability and that relationship was there when it was like, I can be honest and say, I feel like you're letting me down. Because I've been honest with you and been with you this whole time. And I can't believe you're doing this to me. And it's like being able to have that honesty and that transparency built off of that time with him, built off that relationship with him, that has spilled over into the other areas of your life, that you're now able to be vulnerable and be able to say with us, to say, you know what? God's will is his perfect will. And I am going to be willing to be submitted in that will, however that looks. And you saying, and it's not no easy decision to make. No, it's not like I'm just sitting up here like, it's not like I'm just sitting up here like, my life is good. Lord, your will. It's like, no. Like, you're hitting me where it hurts. And you're allowing me to be hit where it hurts.
Because he wants you to. Because that's when you come back to him. At the end of the day, we always come back to God. That's he wants us to cry out to him. He wants us to tell him that we're disappointed. So he can show us, how he works.
Yeah.
So we can continue to believe him, so he can save our souls.
Yeah.
Because if we can't hold on to that little piece,
Yeah.
then we're just out here in the wilderness.
Yes.
We just going through emotion. But if we can literally submit to what he has for us, and cry out to him and say, okay, God, I don't know. I don't know at this moment. Like, I'm used to having the answers. I don't have no answers.
Yes.
What you gonna do? You told me in your word that you're gonna provide. So what you gonna do? Now we gotta put the work in too. Now faith without works is dead.
Yes.
So you just can't sit there and be like, all right, Lord, waiting on you. You know, we gotta we gotta do our due diligence as well. But he just keeps amazing me.
Yeah.
And I can't say I can't trust you no more. Like, even in the moments when I do say it, he just brings it back around.
Reminds you.
Didn't I show you
Yeah.
in that season what you doing? And it's okay, because he wants us to do that. We gonna have our moments of failure and doubt.
Yeah.
But that's when he's able to show us who he is.
Help my unbelief.
Yeah.
I believe.
Oh, child. Oh, gosh. That was, I mean,
and
amazing.
I know we went way over.
It needed to. It needed to, because that was just, I mean, the whole conversation has been amazing, but that last segment as well, to really just leave people with the way, because it's edifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not wrong for you to say,
Yeah.
God, what's going on?
Yes.
What's going on? I don't get it. Because that's what a relationship looks like.
Yeah.
A real relationship. To just be, okay, I'll do everything you say. And you can do that. Yeah. But where's the connection? Where's the intimacy? Where is that? And it's like,
healthy.
It's not healthy. And it's been long built. It's not like I started 2 minutes ago. It's not like you started 2 minutes ago. It was, now I can show you what I did before.
Yeah.
I did it before, I'll do it again. I did it before, I'll do it again. Watch me work. See me, my faithfulness, even in areas where it doesn't seem like I'm being faithful. And you being here to say that in your testimony, to say, because it's easy for me to say, God's been faithful to you. It's good. It's easy for me to say, God is just, I see his hand on your life. You know, when I'm not in it.
Yeah.
But when you're here saying, God's been faithful to me, and God has been showing me, and God has been walking with me, and he's been building me up. And he's allowing these things to draw me to him.
Yes.
Because he cares about my soul at the end of the day.
Yeah.
This is hard for me to go through. This is hard for me to see. This is hard for my family to experience. But at the end of the day, I know that God is going to be glorified.
Yeah.
And I'm content in that.
Yes.
It's a whole nother thing. So I'm like, thank you, God, for having you to be able to come to say this in this season, because I needed to hear this. I know somebody else needed to hear this. So I'm just like, thank you, Jesus. Because it's like, he's being glorified. Like, I'm just like, oh my gosh. I feel like filled, but I'm like, let me get the Kleenexes that I don't have. Said, y'all not gonna get me on this sofa crying. No. But that's just a blessing. That is, oh God, thank you, Jesus. Like, that's all I can say.
Thank you, Lord.
I don't. Anybody have anything else to say?
Carmen is very full right now. She doesn't have any words to say.
And I don't have a conclusion.
But I think today has been really a blessing. I thank you for coming, and I thank you for talking with us and being candid with us. I think that's every conversation that we have. We want to be candid and we want to be truthful, but sometimes the level of vulnerability that we have is high level vulnerability. But sometimes God allows us to show our heart and show the places where we are. And I think the key thing that we've been seeing throughout this is if we have the relationship with God, if we build a rapport with him, we spend time with him in those moments when it's the darkest of times, we can trust that he will be there, because he's been there in the lightest of times. He's been there in the mid times. He's been there when we are distant. He's still there. And he's just waiting for us to come back. And so in that, we know that he is faithful. So I thank you for being here. We love you. And oh my gosh, it's been great. Everybody, thank y'all for listening and watching, and we'll see y'all in the next one.
Thank you.